Hey, Rajah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much for coming on Go Local Live. Appreciate having you.
Thank you, thank you.
So we're in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center, and you've had some recent success lately, but you have an exciting announcement to make here.
Oh, we're gonna just jump straight.
Yeah, we're gonna jump in. Why bury the lead?
I made a film like 2011. I made a film called Warm Free Society, and we won some awards with that. It was Best Sci-Fi at the Rhode International Film Festival. And it's been a while since I've made another film, a personal film. I've served as like a director of photography at many productions. I would say over 50 productions.
A lot. He's had a lot of work.
A lot of
We're gonna get to all that good stuff.
Yeah, but I'm starting up a new film and a feature length, so it'll be my feature debut, and it's called Pseudo Love. And here's my like.
Awesome. So it's a feature-length film, Pseudo Love.
It's a feature length. I'm taking steps towards making it.
Cool.
I should say. And what I'm doing is I'm producing a sizzle reel.
Okay.
Sizzle reel is something I could use to reach out to investors with, and I guess something we can talk about as well.
Yeah,
right?
great. Okay, so what's the idea? What's the concept? What are you looking for?
Oh, the film?
Let's talk about the film.
Oh, geez. So the film is about a filmmaker who falls for a particular drug-addicted actress, and she becomes like the lure. She becomes, the inspiration and sort of his muse. To produce his film. So he's looking for muse, and she is the one. So she lures him into this seedy, underground world of filmmaking. And it's sort of my take on some of the less than fun experiences I've had in the New England world. And the film also, it's like dual reality. So there's the real world, and then there's the world of the film, the film that he's producing.
The film that he's producing,
yeah. And it's a fable about a knight who goes out in search for this siren who he believes is the cure to his illness. So there's two parallel stories happening. I like films that combines two realities.
It kind of has a story within the story.
Yes, and I think there's several things, but I do want to use New England, the beauty, the majesty of New England, to represent that fantasy world. But I think the two worlds complement each other really well, and they sort of build up each other. And I think that's like what makes my film a little bit more unique than your typical film about a filmmaker or a writer, looking for inspiration.
Well, plus you have that background and that knowledge to work off of as well, right? So what are you able to bring to the film, and where are you looking to do this at? Because you keep mentioning New England, and you have such ties.
Well, I graduated from mass art, so I was I'm a product of New England, so to speak. So for the last 10 to 15 years, I've been working in indie film, and I came in at a time when indie film was starting to take off. Somebody with you can do something with under $100,000, right? So I have a lot of nostalgia for some of the earlier film production that I worked on, where there was no pressure. It was just a bunch of friends meeting up on the weekend, making films and having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And then as my career progressed, and I started, and the industry has changed a little bit. It's not as easy to recruit like a team of volunteers as it once was. So it's a little bit more difficult.
It's like asking someone to help you move now.
Yeah, it's become, there's people that specializes in certain tasks, and if you want to achieve a certain degree of quality, you need to hire some people, like you normally should. But there's still a lot of film. So early when I was starting out making film, I had a lot of fond memories of making films with a group of friends, and then a couple of times I was hired to do some films, which the experience was not as great.
Not as fun and memorable.
Yeah, because most of
the
time it involved maybe an ambitious filmmaker looking to do more than their budget would allow, and I had one horror story up in Maine where a director hired a bunch of cast and crew, people he hasn't worked with before, and he was coming from a business background, and the first night of production, things just fell apart. The lead actress quit, and then the lead actor quit, and then the entire crew kind of just left them standing. So that is one of the stories I sort of draw some inspiration from. Now, my film is not a representation of that, but I took some inspiration from that for this film and how it plays out into this world. And the film is called Pseudo Love, and this is the design I created yesterday. It took me 10 minutes to create my poster. So yeah, as an indie filmmaker, you have to do a lot of things on your own. You know, I don't have a marketing team. I don't have. I'm still building my production team. So I'm sort of acting as not a storyteller, but also like a production manager, managing a huge phase. Even if it's just a sizzler reel, it's still a lot of work that goes into it.
So tell us a little bit about the reel that you're putting together and kind of how you market that out to get the bigger picture.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out because as I'm going along, I'm learning the process of taking the next step towards like in the past I've invested in my own film, so the next step is to get other people to invest in your film. So what I want to really do is
number one. So you don't go bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to go bankrupt making your own film project, or maybe you do because you have one shot at it. It's your dream. It's everyone's. It's my dream. To tell stories, and if this is what you have to do to make it happen, and this is what you have to do. But yeah, with a sizzler reel, you're hoping to connect with other people who may see the profitability in a project like this. So sizzler reel for me just takes some of the best scenes, some of my favorite scenes, and act and perform and produce it in a way that I think comes very close to what I can do with the budget that I'm projecting to make the film at. So I want to be able to at least show people, like, if we are to be able to raise this amount of money, this is the quality, this is the kind of interaction you're going to get, and essentially it's like a short and sweet commercial for the whole project. But also, what I'm going to do is two versions. A short version, which is, here's a little sizzler for somebody who don't have much time, and then a longer version where we kind of see like the real talent and the potential of the actors in these scenes and how the scenes play out into the bigger story.
That sounds very exciting for you. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about some of your past projects, because you mentioned, you've worked on so many things, And just a few days ago, it's May 1st, just a few days ago, you debuted The Other End here in Providence. So talk to me a little bit about that project and what it was like debuting it here.
The Other End was shot on the Brooklyn Bridge. So it was shot early morning, 3 days in a row, last summer on the Brooklyn Bridge, so to speak. And it was a fun experience going out there and filming. So we had the New England premiere Friday night, and it was a great experience at the Cine Film Festival. So many of you might already be familiar with the Cine Film Festival. It's a great venue, great place to show your film. Every year I go, and for the last few years I've always had a film in the festival. And this is a project where I was a director of photography on, so it's like that's like 50% of what I do is I serve as a director of photography on a film project that somebody else has written and wanted to produce, So yeah, it was a great, fantastic experience. I had a great time, and it was great to have it premiere in New England.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're moving forward, what are you looking to do? So this you're looking to take on the whole project, right?
For this project, I am the producer, the executive producer, the producer and the director and the writer. But I also co-wrote
and
this.
The writer.
Yeah. Well, no. I was a co-writer.
Co-writer.
Even though the story was mine, but I co-wrote it with a local playwright, Lenny Schwartz. He does some really funny stuff in southern Rhode Island. And you should go check out some of his plays.
Awesome.
He's a very prolific writer. It's good to work with somebody coming from like a really strong comedy background, and I find I'm coming from a much more serious, filmmaker, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but you're fun to talk to, so.
Well, thank you.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about just the filmmaking scene, what you think it's like here in New England.
Well, one thing that my film will do a little bit differently from the films that you may have seen that has like sort of like a behind the scenes Hollywood is I'm working with, I don't want to say low budget, but I am sort of pursuing it in the New England world. There's a bunch of different people that you'll find that will come onto, you have your part-time part-time worker here, you know, you may have a retired lawyer, you may have, it's such a diverse background of people that will come together to make a film. You never know who you're working with. You know, at any given day you may be you know, you don't know who you're working with. And so I think that diversity lends itself really well to, you know, production that I would do in Rhode Island, because it's just a fun thing to do, to make a film.
And what do you see for the future of filmmaking in Rhode Island?
Well, I think it's getting bigger and bigger as we go. I just finished a film called The Santa Files. I was a camera operator on that, and that you know, we had Ed Asner in there, Patrick Muldoon of Starship Troopers, and Brooke Langton, who was from Melrose Place, and that was done with Woodhaven Media. They're in Warwick area, so I feel like that is, you know, what some people know as a film done in Rhode Island, and you know, they bring in a few name actors. And we pretty much gathered the whole team here in Rhode Island, and we produced it in 15 days. In 15 days, the film was
fast. I know.
Yes, it was
fast.
It was a very intense, you know, 15-day schedule, and 2 cameras going at the same time, and you know, directed by Tommy DiNucci. And actually, I just had Tommy DiNucci come. We had a table read for my film, and we had Tommy DiNucci, some of my favorite New England actors, come by, and we, you know, sort of did I call it a table read / workshop for my script, and we put some of the scenes on their legs and see how they played out, discuss it back and forth, and, you know, I'm going to go back into the script and, you know, improve it. And so I think, another thing about the New England scene, you know, I've been to New York. I was in New York last year. I'm back in Rhode Island to finish up this film, then may have to go back again. But
figure it out.
But the New England filmmakers, I think the community here is so much more vibrant. It's so much, people are like, I mean, I had like 20 people come to help me on a table read. You know, I can't get that in New York, you know. At least I don't know the people in New York to get that way. I think the generosity here is much more, and I think it's just a great community, and it's a community I've grown to love. So when I go somewhere else, I see that difference, and I always come back. You know, I think I was always make my film in New England. Say Rhode Island and New England, yes.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to hear that too. It's good to hear we have good people here. Talk to me a little bit about. I was reading some stuff on your webpage, and I was reading some of the work that you've done, and was reading that you had upgraded some of your equipment, some of your cameras.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just had been.
Oh, you're interested in the technology aspect of
things?
Just
kind of reading about some of that stuff, and I'm wondering what you think in terms of whether it's filmmaking or whether you're looking at traditional media. A lot of stuff we're seeing now is stuff shot on iPhones. You know, when you turn on different things, you're seeing video shot on iPhones, and here as a filmmaker, you're upgrading technology to see a visual aspect. So just kind of wondering your point of view as we see filmmaking progress into the future. Do you think that the quality of video that we're looking at is important, and what we're looking at in terms of the future? How do you think the technology
I think we started looking at quality of storytelling, right? And you can use an iPhone to tell, you know, a different kind of story than you would use like a Red camera for. And so for me, I would be very excited to work with iPhone or any like low end or even high end technology, if the story dictates that kind of vision, you know, if it requires like old video camera or old Super 8, but it's really the concept of your film. And even in my film, I have 3 different worlds. I have the world of the fantasy world, which, you know, think of Lord of the Rings. So for that, I think you need something like a Red camera. You need high quality lenses and camera to capture that world, because as it turns in bright daylight shooting with your iPhone, you're not going to get a different result if you shoot with a Red camera that will be able to capture that dynamic range of image, that dynamic range of colors. So like for that world, yes. And then there's another world in my film, which is like the reality world, like you and I today. Yeah. And it's, you know, we have all this, like we have daylight being blocked out by the screen. We have, you know, the fluorescence overhead. We have this in the background. So and maybe that's the look you're going for. In which case, like your traditional, maybe your DSLR camera could work for that. Or I've upgraded from DSLR. You know, So I have like what's like the next step up, which would be like a, professional grade camera that does have interchangeable lenses. Sony FS7 too. So that's like the newest technology out there, and but they've been able, Sony in particular, have been able to take the sensor technology in a very small body. So if you're willing to work with, sometimes when you're paying for like a expensive Amira or Red camera, what you're paying for really is sort of the ability to make more mistakes, so to speak.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're paying like, let's say, you're just paying for, you're paying for like a larger margin of error. Whereas if you know exactly what you want to do, you can go in and shoot with whatever camera you can do it with. Like right now, there's a tiny little camera right there.
Yeah.
Because we know the scope of what you're aiming for. So I think understanding, number one, the concept you're going for, and what technology you can put behind of it, you can do some really cool stuff. And Sony's been making some really nice small camera with their really cool, powerful sensors that can give you high quality of image in a very small compact body. That's what I've been using for the last few years.
Awesome.
And I think people will be hard pressed to tell the difference between the two image in most environments.
And your stuff looks amazing as well. Do you have like a timeline for your new project?
Yes, I would like to film this sizzle reel at the end of August. So it's like 2 weeks at the end of August. I'm aiming to shoot that. And the feature next May would be ideal. It's one that I think will be very vibrant and colorful outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that will be the perfect time. Now, that might be dependent on how quickly I raise the funds to make that happen.
Perfect.
So that will, that's the determining factor, really.
Great. Well, Rajah, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so great to talk to you. Really